There's one thing almost every avoidant person hopes you'll do after they reject them, and it has nothing to do with begging, and nothing to do with disappearing. Most people never figure out what it is. And the ones who do say it changed everything about how the story ended. You just heard the words. Maybe it was, "I don't think this is working." Maybe it was, "I need space," said in that flat, final tone. Maybe it was nothing at all, just silence where an answer used to be. And in that moment, it felt like the cleanest kind of no, like they looked at everything you were and simply decided it wasn't enough. But here's the thing almost no one tells you about rejection from an avoidant person. What they said in that moment and what's actually happening underneath it are very rarely the same thing. If that sounds like something you want to believe just to soften the blow, stay with me. This isn't comfort, it's mechanism. Understanding it is the difference between chasing someone who reads that as confirmation you were too much, or disappearing completely and confirming the fear that you never really mattered in the first place. Both responses feel natural. Both are, more often than not, exactly the wrong move. There's a third option, and almost nobody finds it, because it goes against every instinct rejection produces in us. To be clear, this isn't a video telling you they're secretly obsessed with you. It's about understanding the pattern clearly enough that you stop reacting to words on the surface and start seeing what's actually happening underneath them, whether or not they ever come back at all. Let's get into it. Truth number 1. The rejection wasn't a verdict on your worth. It was a nervous system outrunning actual feelings. Let that one land for a second. It might feel like clarity, like they finally saw you clearly and made their decision. But for someone with an avoidant attachment style, closeness itself can register as danger long before their conscious mind gets a vote. The wall goes up faster than the feelings can be sorted through, which means the version of you they just rejected isn't really you. It's a threat-shaped stand in their nervous system built out of getting close enough to matter. The affection doesn't disappear the second they say the hard thing. It just gets buried under a decision made by the part of them that panics, not the part of them that wants. This is the first quiet irony of avoidant rejection. It looks like certainty from the outside, but it's often closer to a smoke alarm going off over a candle. The alarm is loud and convincing, but it's not measuring the actual threat. It's measuring how close the fire got to something flammable a long time ago, in a home you were never part of. That distinction matters, because it changes what you're actually grieving. Not being seen clearly and found lacking. A system reacting to closeness the way it was trained to years before you showed up. Truth number 2. Somewhere underneath the rejection, regret is already starting, and they still can't take it back. This is where rejection stops being a decision and starts being a trap of their own making. Avoidant individuals are rarely proud of how they end things. Many of them can feel, almost as the words leave their mouth, that what just got said was bigger than what they actually feel. They sense the overcorrection in real time. The door slammed harder than it needed to. But walking it back feels like admitting they overreacted. And admitting that feels like exposure, like handing you proof that they're not as unaffected as a rejection made them look. So instead, the words just stay said, not because they were fully meant, but because unsaying them feels more dangerous than living inside them. Think about what that actually requires. Walking back in, admitting the door was slammed too hard, sitting in the discomfort of overreacting in front of the one person whose opinion currently feels most fragile. For someone whose coping system is built around avoiding exposure, that's not a small ask. So the regret gets carried privately, alongside the very silence you're on the other end of. Truth number 3. What they told you to do and what they actually need from you are two completely different things. This might be the hardest truth to sit with. For both of you, on the surface, a rejection sounds like a clear instruction. Leave. Stop reaching out. Move on. But research on avoidant attachment consistently shows a gap between what avoidant individuals communicate under threat and what they actually need once the threat passes. They are not, in most cases, asking you to erase yourself from their life. They're asking you to stop pushing on a door they're currently too afraid to open. The problem is that almost everyone takes the word at face value, because why wouldn't they, while the avoidant person is quietly hoping someone can tell the difference between go away and I need this to stop feeling like pressure? This is the pivot. Because once you understand that gap, the question stops being why did they reject me? and become something much more useful. What do they actually want from me now? This doesn't mean every rejection is a coded invitation, or that you're responsible for decoding someone else's fear. But treating their words as a whole story, rather than a stress response wearing the costume of decision, is how people end up burning the relationship down or handing their worth over to a sentence said in a moment of panic. Truth number 4. What they secretly wish you do is create distance, without actually disappearing. Pay close attention to this one, because it explains almost every confusing signal that follows a rejection like this. The way they might still watch your stories, still show up in small ways, still leave the door technically unlocked while insisting it's closed. It sounds like a contradiction, and in a way it is. This is the exact tension avoidant attachment lives inside of. They want the pressure gone. They want you to stop waiting on an answer. Stop treating the relationship like something on life support. Stop needing them to be different than they currently are. But they do not want you to vanish completely. Delete every trace of what existed between you, or close the door so firmly that returning becomes impossible. What they're quietly hoping for, without ever being able to say it out loud, is someone who steps back emotionally without stepping out entirely. Someone who lets the silence exist without turning it into a full stop. This is the thing. This is what almost every avoidant person wishes you do after they reject you. Hold a little bit of steady, low-pressure presence, without asking anything of them in return. They can't ask for this directly, because asking for it would mean admitting they don't actually want you gone, which contradicts the very rejection they just delivered. So they never explain it. They just hope, in a way they'd never say out loud, that you already understand. This is also why advice about avoidant partners so often feels contradictory. One voice says give total space. Another says total space confirms abandonment. Both can be true, because what's being asked for isn't a fixed distance. It's a tone, steady and undemanding, present without pressing. It's less about how far away you stand, and more about whether you're still standing there when they finally look back up. Truth number 5. What they're most afraid of isn't that you'll be upset. It's that you'll actually believe them. This is the one that lives underneath everything else. The one the rejection was partly built to protect them from ever having to face. Because somewhere beneath the relief of distance, a quieter fear starts building, that you'll take the words literally, that you'll do exactly what they said and move on cleanly, the way they claimed they wanted, that the space they created to feel safe again will quietly harden into something permanent. Not because you got tired of waiting, but because you finally believe them. And here's the strange, uncomfortable truth underneath all of it. Some part of them is waiting to see if you'll prove the rejection wrong by staying just slightly, quietly present, not chasing, not begging, not demanding an explanation, just still there in some small way, while another part of them would never admit that's exactly what they're hoping for. This is why so many avoidant relationships end in a pattern that looks illogical from the outside. The same person who pushed you away reappears the moment they sense you've truly let go. It's not manipulation most of the time. It's the fear from Truth 5 colliding with the wish from Truth 4 in real time. The same nervous system that pushed for distance now scrambling quietly to check whether the distance became permanent while it wasn't looking. This is precisely why chasing backfires. It answers the fear too loudly, removing the uncertainty they needed to feel safe, and confirms a narrative that closeness comes with pressure attached. Full disappearance answers it in the opposite direction, confirming the second nightmare, that the window really is closed. The narrow space between those two reactions is where Truth 4 quietly lives. Here's what matters most, especially if you're the one standing on the other side of rejection, like this one. They didn't reject you to prove that you were disposable. They rejected you because closeness triggered a threat response faster than their actual feelings could speak up, and nobody ever taught them how to say, "I'm scared," instead of "I'm done." Your presence wasn't the problem. Your wanting them wasn't too much. You simply got close enough, real enough, to switch on an old defense system before the newer, wiser part of them could stop it from firing. So you have two choices. You can quietly hold a little space open, not chasing, not disappearing, just existing steadily, without pressure, giving them the exact thing Truth 4 described on the chance that they eventually find their way back through it. Or you can take what you now understand, that this was their fear talking, not a verdict on your worth, and use it to walk toward a life that doesn't require someone else's courage in order to feel whole. Both choices are valid. Neither makes you weak. There's no version where holding space makes you desperate or where letting go makes you cold. Both are simply ways of refusing to hand your peace over to someone else's fear. But only one of them gives you your life back regardless of what they ever decide to do. Holding space quietly can absolutely be the right choice, but only if it's done for your own sake, not as a strategy to earn a specific outcome. The moment it becomes a performance designed to lure them back, it turns into the very pressure they were trying to escape. So whichever path you choose it because it lets you keep living fully, regardless of what happens on the other side of their silence. And that choice starts right now.